The Newsday continues here on One News Now. I'm Diego Castro. The Philippines is looking to import rice all the way from Argentina. Foreign Affairs Secretary Enrique Manalo discussed that possibility with Argentinian Foreign Minister Andres Cafiero in Buenos Aires on Wednesday. No other details were released regarding this. The Philippines has imported some 2.33 million metric tons of the staple this year, most of which are from Vietnam and Thailand. But for Presidential Sister and Senator Imee Marcos, there is no need for more importation, as she believes there is no rice crisis. She also believes that the country should just focus on local production.
Bonggang-bongga ko tutol dyan. Unang-una, wala namang krisis sa bigas. Ba't gawa-gawa ng ganyan? Dapat yung importation, last resort. Ang dami pang binibentang bigas na lokal.
The Agriculture Department has meanwhile reacted to the report of its U.S. counterpart that the Philippines has become the world's biggest importer of rice, overtaking China. In a statement, DA Undersecretary Leocadio Sebastian said they expect the country to import much less than 3.8 million metric tons of the grain, as projected by the USDA. Sebastian says this projection only indicates that the volume of rice imported in 2022 was over the deficit. Sebastian also noted that with intensified local production, less volume of rice imports can be expected by next year. The DA, however, did not give an actual figure for their estimated much less volume of imported rice. Recall that the U.S. Department of Agriculture released a report showing that the Philippines is now the biggest rice importer in the world, with the Philippines seen to import 3.8 million metric tons in marketing year 2023 to 2024. One expert suggests placing additional enhanced Defense Cooperation Agreement or EDCA sites, which he said should be placed in the southern part of the country. Security analyst Chester Cabalza says additional EDCA sites in Visayas and Mindanao will help cover territorial interests in the south. Cabalza also warns that placing more EDCA sites in Luzon would risk further aggression from China.
Remember, you have two in Cagayan, and ang patama nila doon is because of Taiwan. So to have a fair and balanced perspective and to de-escalate the political and geopolitical bias on it, we should also bring it down to Visayas and Mindanao para hindi nila isipin na, kami ang pinapatamaan nyo eh. Because we have also issues with our southern corridor, with our maritime neighbors in Malaysia and Indonesia. And at the end of the day,
Cabalza also explains that the plan to invite Chinese academics in a Senate panel's hearing on the Philippine map is a good move. He explains that academics are expected to be fair and objective.
We also have American academics coming over, and this is the first time that any think tank will hold representatives, academics coming from the US, China, and Southeast Asia. So the mere fact that the Senate and our government is inviting the Chinese academics, that means that we are fair. Tama lang yun.
We'll be back with more stories after the break. Keep it here on One News. You're still watching One News Now. I'm Diego Castro. The killer of OFW Julie B. Ranara has been convicted of murder in Kuwait. The Foreign Affairs Department said the suspect was sentenced to 15 years in prison and another year for driving without a license. The DFA added that Ranara's killer, the 17-year-old son of her employer, received lesser penalties due to being a minor. The 35-year-old OFW was brutally killed in January this year, with her body found burnt and mangled in a Kuwaiti desert. The word war between Vice President Sara Duterte and minority lawmakers Risa Hontiveros and Franz Castro is raging on. This all started after the Vice President released a statement back in September 11, attacking Castro and Hontiveros. The two appeared to have been singled out as Duterte made no mention of other lawmakers who also criticized her office's proposed confidential funds. In an earlier video, Senator Hontiveros noted that the OVP is not special, as budgets of all other agencies are also being scrutinized. The Vice President, though, continued to attack both Castro and Hontiveros in a more recent interview as she defended her office's confidential funds.
I do not respect Ms. Castro and Ms. Ontiveros. I have no respect for them. Hindi naman kami ever nagsabi na special ang Office of the Vice President. We respected the process doon sa budget hearing ng House of Representatives and ng Senate. The discretion, the decision whether to grant confidential funds is really up to Congress.
This morning, ACT Party List Representative Franz Castro has responded to the Vice President's remarks in an interview with Radio 5's Ted Filon and DJ Chacha. Here's what she said.
The feeling is mutual, kaya nga nung sinasabi natin, dapat mahiya din siya sa taong bayan at maipaliwanag niya. Kahit na sa mga botante niya, dapat mahiya din siya at maipaliwanag niya saan niya ginastos talaga itong 125 million na ito.
And yesterday, Senator Hontiveros also released her own reaction video where she called for Duterte's accountability over the confidential funds. Let's listen to this.
Hindi ko kailangan ang respeto mo, VP Sara. Kung hindi mo kayang irespeto ang mga katrabaho mo, irespeto mo man lang sana ang paggasta ng pera ng bayan. Higit 1 linggo na, simula nang naghearing tungkol sa confidential funds, pero mas marami ka pang patutsada kaysa sa paliwanag.
President Bongbong Marcos will remain in Singapore to watch the Formula 1 Grand Prix. The president is in the city-state to attend the 10th Asia Summit, which is set to conclude today. Marcos Jr., though, will extend his stay, noting that he was invited by Singapore Prime Minister Lee Hsien Loong to watch the Grand Prix. This also coincides with the celebration of the president's 66th birthday on Wednesday. He is expected to return to the country on Sunday. Unlike last year, Marcos Jr.'s Grand Prix trip was immediately announced by Malacanang. Recall that the president received criticism when he left unannounced last year to watch the racing event. Meanwhile, ACT Teachers Party List Representative Franz Castro said there's no problem with Marcos Jr.'s extended trip as long as he is using his own money for it.
Okay naman po kasi meron naman pong yung mga foreign investors enjoining foreign investors to go here in the Philippines. So wala naman pong problem doon So if he is using his own money for the F1, that would be no problem for us.
And those are the top stories of the hour. Join us again at 11:15 a.m. as we continue to monitor the day's biggest stories. I'm Diego Castro. We are One News. All sides, all the time.